Imagine you're driving on the highway at 65 miles per hour. The wind is blowing through the windows, your favorite song is playing, and everything feels perfect. Then suddenly, a huge fireball starts behind you. Your car shakes, the heat rushes forward, and you realize your gas tank just exploded without a crash, not even warning. This isn't a freak accident or bad luck. The car was really built like this. Welcome to the dark and scary side of car history, where some cars were not just unsafe, they were dangerous death traps. In this video, we'll take you through the most dangerous cars ever made. So sit tight. The ride might get rough. Ford Pinto. You stop your car at a red light. The car behind you hits you softly. It's just a small accident. No big deal, right? But then your car started burning in big flames. That's what could have happened if you drove a Ford Pinto. Released in the early 1970s, the Pinto was supposed to be Ford's answer to compact cars flooding in from Japan. But behind that shiny paint job and clever ads was a deadly flaw. The gas tank was placed just inches from the rear bumper. So when someone hit you from behind, the gas tank could break and catch fire. The worst part is that Ford knew about the problem. Internal memos revealed that fixing the design would have cost $11 per car. But they decided it was cheaper to pay for people's injuries and deaths instead. Let that sink in. They put a price tag on human life. More than 24 people died in Pinto fires, and countless others were burned or traumatized. Some survivors described being trapped in their cars as flames licked through the seats. Others never had a chance to escape. What does it say about us that this car stayed on the road for years? Did people not know? Or did they just accept the risk? But the worst is that Ford didn't recall the Pinto until years later, after mounting public pressure and lawsuits. By then, the Pinto had become a symbol, not just of corporate greed, but of the terrifying consequences of cutting corners. But if you think a car that explodes is scary, wait until you hear about one that flips over during a simple lane change just by turning too fast. Mercedes-Benz, a class. You're driving your brand new Mercedes A-Class. You've seen the ads. German quality, smooth ride, perfect safety. But then, you take a fast turn and something feels wrong. The car doesn't just turn, it tips. And before you know it, you're rolling like a toy car pushed by a child. This happened during a test in 1997 called the Moose Test. The car was supposed to dodge an obstacle quickly, like if an animal ran in front of you. Instead, the A-Class flipped onto its side. Not once, not twice, multiple times in tests. People were shocked. How could a Mercedes do this? At first, Mercedes said the test wasn't fair, but they couldn't ignore the truth. The car had a high center of gravity and weak stability. It was too easy to roll over. They had to stop selling the car, add a system called electronic stability control, and change the suspension. Only after that was it safe again. Now, imagine a car that doesn't roll or explode, but simply falls apart while you drive it. Yugos GV. You turn the key. The engine starts, barely. You pull onto the road, but something feels off. It rattles, shakes, and then bang! A piece just falls off. That's life with the Yugo. This car came from Yugoslavia in the 1980s. It was one of the cheapest cars in America, but you got what you paid for, and less. The Yugo was like a car built in a rush, using leftover parts. The engine was weak. The doors could jam. The windows broke. And the car rusted fast. Driving it felt like gambling. Some people joked that it broke down faster than it drove. But the real danger? It had almost no safety. In crash tests, the Yugo failed badly. If you crashed in a Yugo, there was a high chance you'd get hurt or worse. People made fun of it, but it wasn't just a joke. It was a rolling risk. But some cars didn't need crashes or bad parts to be deadly. Some had a problem right in the steering. The one thing you trust the most. That car was the Chevy Corvair. Chevrolet Corvair. This car looked cool, but it had a terrifying secret. It didn't like turning. When Chevrolet built the Corvair in the 1960s, they made the rear suspension too weak, and the engine was in the back. That combo made the car act strange during sharp turns. Drivers lost control without warning. People got hurt. Some even died. The car became so notorious that consumer advocate Ralph Nader wrote an entire book about it, titled Unsafe at Any Speed. He showed how the Corvair was more dangerous than people knew. Chevrolet later fixed the car, but the damage to their name was huge. And more important, it changed the car industry forever. That book helped bring new safety laws, seatbelts, and crash testing. But for some drivers back then, it was too late. Now imagine sitting in a car with 4 ticking time bombs. Let's talk about the Ford Explorer with its Firestone tire. Ford Explorer plus Firestone tires. The problem wasn't just the Ford Explorer, it was the Firestone tires. They were supposed to be strong, safe, and ready for the road. But many were made with weak rubber and poor quality control. They peeled apart at high speeds. And because the Ford Explorer had a high center of gravity, one bad tire often meant a deadly rollover for us. This led to the death of over 270 people, while hundreds more were injured. Firestone and Ford blamed each other. Lawsuits followed, and so did a recall of millions of tires. But it was too late for many families. What should have been a safe trip became tragedy. But if flipping on dry roads sounds scary, what if your car couldn't even keep its wheels on during a rainstorm? Let's talk about the Suzuki Samurai, a car that made danger look cute. Suzuki Samurai. In the late 80s, this little SUV caught on quickly. It was light, affordable, and had that rugged off-road charm. But what buyers didn't expect was just how easy it was to tip the Samurai over. The Suzuki Samurai had a high center of gravity and a very narrow body that made it easy to roll, especially when turning quickly. Even a slight jerk of the wheel could flip it. Consumer Reports ran a series of tests and found that even during standard evasive maneuvers, the Samurai could roll without warning. This wasn't even extreme driving, just normal swerving. Suzuki fought back with lawsuits, but eventually, they had to accept the reality. The car was just too top-heavy for its own good. Drivers who bought it for fun weekend adventures often found themselves upside down, literally. And even though Suzuki improved later models, the Samurai's reputation never recovered. It's a classic case of a car designed for fun that turned into a legal and safety nightmare. Ever heard of a car that accelerates on its own? That's what people claimed about the Audi 5000, and the panic it caused was massive. Audi 5000. During the 1980s, several Audi 5000 drivers reported their cars suddenly accelerating without pressing the gas. The issue led to accidents, injuries, and even fatalities. It became a national controversy when 60 Minutes aired a segment on it, showing dramatic reenactments of the cars taking off uncontrollably. Although it was later discovered that most incidents were likely caused by driver error, confusing the gas pedal with the brake. The damage to Audi's reputation was severe. Sales plummeted, lawsuits piled up, and Audi spent years rebuilding its brand in the US. Even if the car itself wasn't fully to blame, the way the issue was handled made it one of the most feared vehicles of its time. It's a reminder that public perception can be just as dangerous as poor engineering. But want to know what happens when you mix off-road freedom with outdated design? You get the Jeep CJ5, a legend in the wild, but also one of the most rollover-prone vehicles ever made. Jeep CJ5, produced from the 1950s to the 1980s, the CJ5 was built for adventure. With its short wheelbase, high center of gravity, and narrow track width, it was perfect for squeezing through rocky trails and winding back roads. But on regular streets, not so much. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, the CJ5 had an alarmingly high rollover rate, way more than most vehicles. A quick swerve or sharp turn at moderate speed could be all it took to send the Jeep tumbling. Back then, safety regulations were pretty loose, and the CJ5 somehow made it through without serious scrutiny. Sure, it looked tough and had that cool military DNA, but underneath all that rugged charm was a serious safety risk. You could call it a thrill ride, just not the kind anyone asked for. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more crazy car stories. See you in the next one.